Hey everybody, this is your Write Geek and Honorary Man King here with another video. Today I would like to talk about, once again, the whole diversity subject. I'm going to give some more thoughts on the matter. This was inspired, of course, by the whole kerfluffle around Stephen King, and other discussions about diversity in the various fandoms that I'm in. And I just have a few more thoughts I wanted to add to the post I did a while back on toxic diversity versus true diversity. The first thing I want to say is that, yes, of course, diversity and quality are not mutually exclusive. Of course not. But they are not synonymous, at least not if you're using diversity in the sense intended by most activists, i.e. representation of racial groups, gender identities, sexual orientations, or any other identity that you can name. If you define diversity in the way that I do, which I'm going to discuss in a second, that's a whole different ball of wax, but diversity, the way it's defined by the woke scolds, can come with quality, and it can also be a barrier to quality, depending on a few things. There are quality stories out there that feature black characters, queer characters, or etc., but the quality stories crucially don't lean on identity exclusively. It might be a particular part of the story, but it is not what is central to the story. So I was thinking some examples like the Black Panther movie. The Black Panther movie, if you focus on the text itself and not some of the idiotic discourse around it when it came out, if you focus on the actual movie itself, that is a movie that works and has broad popular appeal. And the reason why it worked is that T'Challa is a fully realized character confronting an antagonist from his own people. In other words, what the Black Panther movie did not do was it did not fall back on lazy or easy tropes when it came to portraying black characters. I also think about Benjamin Sisko. One of my favorite examples from Star Trek Deep Space Nine is a fantastic and broadly popular character. Why is he broadly popular? Again, because he's a fully realized character who has a family and convictions and the willingness to pursue what he believes, that anyone can connect to no matter where they come from. And while occasionally his identity as a black man did come up in the show, once again, his character did not lean exclusively on that idea of identity. There was so much more to him. He was a much fuller, three-dimensional character. I would say that you could even have quality stories about oppression and racism and all of those hot topics that the woke scolds like to cover. But the key is you have to recognize nuance in those kinds of stories and avoid stereotypes and oversimplification. Basically, what I think a lot of writers need to do is they need to go to my school on how to write bigots. And what I mean by school is we need to search out those examples from the past in which bigots were written in a way that was actually true to the humanity of these people that have abhorrent beliefs. Lately, I've been watching a lot of this 1980s hospital drama called St. Elsewhere. And there is a major character in that show by the name of Dr. Mark Craig, who is a bigot. But the writers, because they were focused on producing a quality product, didn't make that bigot character into a stereotype or into an oversimplified caricature. While Mark is very close-minded and basically a martinet who throws scalpels at his residents and so on, we also see those aspects of him that are very human and very relatable. So the story doesn't approve of his beliefs in any way, but it also doesn't turn him into some snidely whiplash villain that we can just dismiss out of hand. You can also look at what Alan Moore did with Rorschach in Watchmen. If there's anyone who knows how to carefully and skillfully write a character that he hates, it's Alan Moore. We all know that Alan Moore does not like Rorschach at all, and actually is suspicious of anyone who is kind of a fan of that character. But my response to that is basically, well, Mr. Moore, you're such a good writer that you avoided making Rorschach a caricature. You made him a three-dimensional character, even though you despise everything he stands for. And that's what I think a lot of writers who want to address these hot-button issues of oppression and bigotry and prejudice and all of those things, that's what we need to focus our craft on, is not to just make these simple black and white stories of these people are the unquestioned good guys and these people are the unquestioned bad guys, and there's nothing human or redeemable in these bigots that we can pull out of the characters and make them seem human and kind of meet that quality of verisimilitude, at least when it comes to portraying human psychology. I believe, and I think most people believe, that one-note treatments of these kinds of issues are really, really boring and old and tired at this point. If you want to address racial issues or any other kind of issues regarding bigotry or prejudice, whether it has to do with sexual orientation, gender identity, or whatever, don't go for what is easy and what is simple and oversimplified and stereotypical. Try to actually get in the heads of people you dislike and try to figure out where those mistaken beliefs are coming from. If you actually make that effort, I think that your story on this particular topic will be so much better and will be so much more interesting to read. And that kind of brings me to my belief that representation, as the activists want it, to me actually doesn't mean diversity. It strikes me as so weird, actually, that so many works that are approved by the wokerati as diverse, in scare quotes, actually aren't diverse at all if you think about diversity of thought. It seems like all of these stories that are quote-unquote approved, they always feature the same mental software or the same ideology. But in the real world, however, people who share a particular identity category disagree with each other. I watch YouTube videos of people who identify as trans, bickering back and forth about what it means to be trans and should children be transitioned early and so on. They disagree. But in a lot of the media that features so-called marginalized identities, what you see is this kind of, they all believe the same thing portrayal, which is not in line with reality at all. Additionally, there's also a lot of avoidance of some of the less palatable, at least to a Western progressive's mind, aspects of different cultures. So these diverse characters that are supposed to, quote unquote, diverse characters who are supposed to represent different cultures, non-Western cultures, end up coming across as Western anyway. They're just hard left Western. You don't see any genuine portrayals, or you see very few genuine portrayals of, say, Muslims or Indian Hindus or anything like that. We don't see actually a genuinely not Western perspective on things in many Western created cultural products that are supposed to represent these other cultures. You end up failing anyway. You end up coming across as very parochial when you just focus on the westernized Indians' opinion on things, or the westernized Muslims' opinion on things. So things are still very America-centric, I think. I would be very interested, and I have said this on many occasions, I'd be very interested to see, let's say, a Muslim superhero in comics that actually was observantly Muslim and didn't come across as just a regular modern American, but just in a hijab. But that seems very unlikely because I think most of the wokerati that want Muslims represented aren't willing to confront the fact that Muslim culture is very different from Western culture, as anyone who has actually been to the Middle East and has been in the midst of that culture will no doubt report to you. So those are just a few more of my thoughts on diversity. If you would like to hear me pontificate on this further, I will certainly make more videos, but I think I will close here before this gets too long, and I will talk to you on Monday night, hopefully about Iron Man 2020. I'm having trouble finding it, but we'll see what happens over the weekend. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you again soon.